I want to get in there dark on the interviews that we have to leave from, and we're live.
Right. Yes, of course we are. Yeah. And of course it's like, yeah, this is how it always happens, right? We always go live in the middle of a thought. but these are thoughts that benefit all of you. So,
yes.
you know,
porns for everybody.
A lot going on. A lot going on. So Nita, what day is it today?
Monday. It is Monday, December 12th, 2022. And this is the Rage Into the Vlogs. Yes.
It is. It is. Yes, absolutely.
You ready, Daphne?
Absolutely not, but go ahead. Hit it.
All right. The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at?
A Catch the Craze podcast.
What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you going to do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independent.
Have you subscribed to?
You are an independent. Catch the Craze. Making moves on your own. Catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets. Catch the Craze. Join the movement. Catch the Craze.
It is difficult to write these words, but I must for my own sake. I have done, seen, and been part of many things in my life.
Good morning, nerds.
Good morning. Yes.
Good morning, Daphne.
Good morning. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm actually heartbroken that we don't get to show the Eagle Raven trailer anymore. At least not until issue 6.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Spring 2023. So who's joining us today?
All right, so far we've got the ever faithful Patrick. We've got
hello, Patrick.
George, Medina, Allison, and Carl.
Oh, very
Good
nice.
morning.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you to the 11 people who are watching us from regions beyond. I see you next to the giant eyeball in my StreamYard. And yes, and if you are joining us from Facebook or Twitter, come on over to YouTube. Join the sexy people in the chat. You know, it's like, Facebook acts up and Twitter doesn't even allow you to comment, while we're streaming. So if you want to, let's have a conversation. Come on over, have some fun, and while you're here, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time we go live. Oh my goodness. Yeah, a lot going on. It's been a very long weekend for me again, but hey, let's get this party started, right? So hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I've been self-publishing comics since 1992. And I am known for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which will be returning to Kickstarter early 2023. So keep an eye out for that. And I am also known for my medieval fantasy soap opera drama, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which just ended its current run on Kickstarter for issue 5 on Friday. Thank you so much for everybody who supported it. Now it's time for me to do all the maths and put together the files for it. But in the meantime, you can read both my comics online at Tall Tales, TAILS online.com, and eagleworks.com, EGOWORKS. And you can also check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, which also simulcasts through the Indy Comics Network. And to tell you more about that, Nita, take it away.
My name is Nita Lanning. I am the producer of the Indy Comics Network, and I'm also the producer of the Indy Comics Network After Dark.
Oh, yes. We had a full weekend.
Yes, we did. You guys like the porns? We're giving you the porns. We will be moving House of Bob, the vlogs, and Shots with Comics, and then we will also be adding a few new shows over there. I guess I should specify the vlogs will still be on the Indie Comics Network, but we will be doing adult interviews as well. So when our guests come in at the half-hour mark, we'll transition. We'll drop from here, and we'll just be over there.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch going on. So subscribe to both channels.
Exactly.
Push all of our buttons.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, it's like, yeah. Look, honestly, I'm really excited at this idea of having a separate channel for the more adult stuff. One, because so my mom can stop seeing House of Bob on her 4K screen.
It's not uncomfortable.
It's like awkward. But also it's like, yes, it's like, it just, I think it's just allows us to, I don't know, to experiment more by having a separate fully adults only channel. I think by now we figured out like what YouTube will allow us to do, and so far we haven't been kicked off the air yet.
So far. If we are, we maintain our evergreen content.
Right.
And there's a huge difference between the not safe for work following and the safe for work crowd. Whereas if the Indie Comic Network, as it were, right now were kicked off the air, it would be hard to rebuild our audience. However, followers that tend to group together for the not safe for work stuff, it'd just be like, hey, we got kicked off, but we're here now, and they're just going to follow us over to our new channel.
Yeah,
no big
very
deal.
Yeah, it's very strange how those audiences function differently, how they're different, So we see you, all you cheeky monkeys out there. So I'm looking forward to the change. Like she said, I mean, the vlogs are still going to be here. I mean, we're still going to do the vlogs, but this separate channel allows us to bring in people who have done work that we'll get in trouble for, or we can't really talk about fully on.
Right. Or the ones that are always coming on and they're like, oh, I can't show this. And it's like,
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
No. It's so bad.
Yeah, exactly. No. We want to be able to have more of an open forum, and this will allow us. Yes, John, you are now a nudie artist. Yes, John Celestri will be joining us on Indie Comics Network After Dark as well. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. It's like I said, I think it's going to, and we also have several artists in the wings who we're currently talking to as well. It's like where they really like the idea of having an outlet for different types of artwork without having to worry about censoring themselves or anything. And it's like, look, you know what? And it's like, look, I pride myself in the fact that we figured out a way to actually bring adult material to YouTube without being lurid about it, without it looking like, you're on Pornhub or something.
Right.
Like, I really do think, that we're very educational with what we're doing with the adult material, and that you really are learning things, and it's still a very educational environment. you know.
I just want to put more focus on the side of the industry that tends, like, we all know it's there, we all
Right.
see it, it does well, it thrives, but
Right.
none of us are really talking about
Right,
it.
because we can't, because platforms
Right.
are really like, they're kind of schizophrenic when it comes to that stuff. Yeah, it's like there's some people who are, thriving with their adult stuff online, but then at the same time, there's kind of like an equal number of people who keep getting harassed and threatened and thrown off platforms because
Right.
of it. I mean, it's like, it's like the stuff that I was putting on Patreon was kind of like just a dirtier version of what you see on in Sports Illustrated, but I got targeted.
Yeah.
It's like someone at Patreon decided that they didn't, it's like, oh, I was being literally too cheeky on was showing too much on my Patreon. And it's like, bruh, meanwhile, I actually follow other Patreon accounts where it's full on pornography on there, and it's like, I can't handle that. I can't handle that, make up your mind, type of thing, it's like, right. Exactly.
That's another thing. When I say adult content, I'm being inclusive of all adult
Yeah,
content.
exactly.
Super violence too. We want it all.
Right.
And that's,
yeah, exactly. It's like, the stuff that, will get you in trouble, because there's some horror artists who I've spoken to that they said, I can't put my stuff online because it's like too much, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like, yeah, we need some more of an outlet for it. So we're really glad that everybody likes the idea of it, and we're looking forward to implementing it.
And it opens up Indie Comics Network to be able to have more all ages stuff as well.
Right,
Because
exactly.
I've been uncomfortable promoting that because it just feels weird,
Right.
Hey, let's back comic books for kids. Da 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 da. Hey,
By the way, House
look at
of
our
Bob.
porn.
And we have House of Bob.
Yeah, and we don't have to worry about somebody streaming and then transitioning from one show into another, and it's like gone from content that a parent may have approved to jump into something just totally off the wall.
Exactly.
It gives us that. It makes me feel better as a parent.
Right. Well, that's true, because in the end, it's like we have no control over what YouTube will suggest to people according to the algorithm, and we don't want somebody coming here for like all ages content, kind of like the book that we're going to be talking about later in the show, and then all of a sudden they get recommended House of Bob,
right.
So it's like, no, this will allow us to circumvent a lot, issues like that, and yes, and it will allow us to also open up the door wider to more all ages stuff, because I mean, look, we're setting this up so it works for everybody. So, like I said, I'm really happy that people really do seem to like the idea and are looking forward to it, and hopefully by the goal is to really, I guess, officially open for business on the 31st. So I have the new mascots drawn out. I just have to color them in so I can start making all the graphics and the banners and stuff, and then we'll just move on from there. So anything, is there anything else?
That's all I have been doing. Like setting up new show notes, new guidelines, getting ready to talk to some of the creators that are wanting to come over. It's going to be a slow process because we're still trying to maintain what we have here.
Right.
This is just in addition to what we're doing.
Right.
And there may be more in the future. And so
we have there's some changes. It's like this is on top of all the other changes that we're kind of we're slowly implementing or whatnot. I mean, it's like 2023 is going to be hopefully a much better year than what we've had. I mean, it's like, not saying that 2023 was a complete trash fire, but it kind of started off as one. It definitely started off as one. So hopefully 2023 will be better for everybody on this round. So oh my goodness. So that was, yeah, so we were doing that. And yeah, like I said, Eagle, thank you everybody for supporting Eagle Raven Heir of the First Unicorn issue 5. Today I'm going to be, like I said, doing the math on it and, you know, figuring out how much of everything I have to I have to order, so I can get those orders out this week and get the process started, so that the second you know, I have to send out surveys and everything, so that the second Kickstarter sends me my money, I can start sending books out the second that happens. I would like to be able to get everything really out before the end of the year, literally. But you know, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. So, you know,
Time is ticking.
yeah, exactly. So, you know, that is my goal, but you know, that's what I'll be doing today. I'll be doing the accounting part of that. But again, thank you everybody. And yeah, and I'll see you in spring 2023 for issue 6, which I still can't believe I'm at issue 6 already for this. Jesus Christ.
It's greatness.
I know. It really is. I mean, my brain is still kind of at when I was just finishing up issue 1. You know, it's just, yeah, it's like, no, we're at 6 now. Congratulations. Oh my goodness. Also, yesterday, yeah, it's like yesterday, I was at the Midtown Comics outlet. That's near my house. The comic book store that's left pretty much. We had 2 that was nearby, and the other one closed down about a month ago. So now we just have the outlet, the Midtown Comics outlet, which is only open on the weekends. So yesterday, we were over there, you know, JD was looking through, he was perusing their 50 cent, their dollar bins. I think it's the dollar bins, but some of the books, they have like an additional discount on top of it. So he was perusing that. And I was upstairs looking through their manga section, because it's like everything there is heavily discounted. So, I mean, I've been finding myself really attracted. I mean, kind of like being not it's like, look, I've always liked manga, but I don't know, recently I've been really like studying them, you know. It's like I've been collecting more of them, you know, like really looking through them. I've especially been kind of like looking at, like, studying how they put the books together and the layouts and how the pages are done. I don't know, it's like more technical, but still though, I want to make sure I pick up some stuff that I'm at least interested in.
Right.
And
but also the science.
Well, yes, there's also a science to everything too. So these I picked up on 2 separate occasions, but they were interesting enough for me to kind of to look at. So the first one that I got, this one I had bought at a previous I don't think I showed this off. This is called Alice in the Country of Hearts, the Junk Box Stories. And it's actually a reverse harem manga that's based on Alice in Wonderland. So Alice has to choose between all these suitors, you know, as to, I don't know. It's like, I haven't read it yet. And, you know, but it's just, you know, like I said, it's a reverse harem manga, romance manga. So well, when you look into the abyss stares back. That's how it always works. All we could do is just go back, go, you good? Yeah, we good. All right. Right. So I picked this up, and you know, and then the other one that I'm in the middle of kind of collecting is the Sacred Blacksmith. I was able to find this at the outlet as well. I was usually picking these up for like $8 to $10 on Amazon. I got like 2 random issues right now, and but this one I was able. Oh, actually, JD picked it up for me for like $3. So you know, so the benefit of shopping at an outlet. Yeah, so you know, so I picked, you know, so I've been picking these up, like I said, both for science and both for, you know, aesthetic. You know, it's like I said, I haven't sat down and actually read them yet. but the thing that I found interesting is that for all these accusations that the kids simultaneously are reading manga obsessively, but they're not reading at the same time,
right.
is kind of like just absolutely, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's a stupid argument. It's like the kids are obviously reading. And the thing that especially in the past year-ish, probably less than that, what I've really been noticing and been fascinated by, for an audience that supposedly doesn't read, light novels are all the rage.
Yep.
I mean, this is it. I only have one light novel, again, that I picked up for research purposes. I have my one issue of Goblin Slayer. I wanted to, and it's literally a novel. It's literally a novel with some very sparse illustrations. It's like, it's not, I wouldn't exactly call this illustrated. There's just not enough. It's like, it just has like these token illustrations in it.
Right.
But man, it's like, now it's like every other book. Like you have a manga, and then you have a light novel, and then you have another manga, and then you have other light novel. So it's like every other book is a light novel. And for those of you who don't know, like, light novels are kind of like their equivalent to YA books. It's like they're for kind of like a teen audience, I guess. And it's just really interesting that it's like I said, for an audience that's constantly getting accused of not reading, this is all popular for a reason. It's like, I don't think these companies are like cranking out, like these light novel translations because there's no audience. Kids, people are reading this. I mean, it's like, I don't know what the exact demographic of manga is. I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty convinced, I'm pretty sure it skews younger than the average mainstream comic book reader. But yeah, it's like they are obviously reading. And I think that what I've been seeing in manga circles is what I guess is giving me the courage to kind of like expand from comics to novel writing, especially the way I want to do it, where it is an illustrated novel. I mean, it's like, I want my novel to have like, practically an illustration on every 50 pages or however it's going, but I want it to people to flip through it and go, there's a lot of pictures in here.
Right.
Because when I was just looking at mainstream comics as to kind of like what my cues would be, I was constantly being told nobody wants this shit. You either do comics or you do novels, but you can't do both. And it's like, no one's going to buy that. No one's going to read that or whatever. But the thing is, though, I really wanted to do novels, especially with the amount of stories that I have in my head. It's like, I know you guys keep hearing me say this. It's like, I have the 15 issues of the main storyline for Eager Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is going to be comics. Everything else after that, aside from whatever short stories I do in comic book form, they're all going to be illustrated novels. I already have the one, Cult of the Wolf Witch, the sequel to Heir of the First Unicorn. I already have that done. Eventually Nita will give it its first pass. She keeps getting work that distracts
Well, you keep sending me other stuff too.
Well, that's true too.
You send me those short reads. So.
And then there's another prose book that I'm putting together, which is a collection of short stories that will be interspersed with comics. But the main bulk of the book are short stories, illustrated short stories. So, so the thing is, though, it's like, if I listen to people in mainstream comics, I'd probably still do it because screw it, this is what I want to do. But I'd be surrounded by people telling me nobody wants that. No one is going to switch from comics to to prose. But by looking at manga, I'm seeing that no, people are more than happy to do this. Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember. Oh, his name is on the tip of my tongue too. He passed young too. It's like, I think like it was Muleskin Press or something, and I forgot his name. But yeah, Poison Elves. And yeah, that's the thing too. I don't think Dave Sim really had a problem with that concept either. But like I said, doing my own research, like, oh, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Drew Hayes, thank you. Yeah, he did. But like I said, this gives me more enthusiasm for doing these books, because like I said, it's like, obviously people are happy
People are
to
reading
read
them.
manga, and they're reading light novels. And I know, and the funny thing too, the more ridiculous sounding the title is, this is also another trend, the more ridiculous sounding the title is on a book. Like, say you're just looking at the spines, right? And okay, so this one's Goblin Slayer. If you come across the title of, I fell in love with a demon girl, or whatever in a dungeon, that's a light novel. The crazier the title, the like 99%, it's a light novel. I don't know why that is, but that seems to be, and the dumber the title, the better it seems. Like, I don't know what that trend is. I don't know if it's just that people are just translating the Japanese literally, or whether there's something to those types of titles, So that was also pretty funny too. Oh, thank you. Yes. So it's like, so I just found that, I just find that really funny. So I've been looking at a lot more manga because of that. Because also it's like I'm kind of toying around with thought of maybe experimenting a bit with trying to like kind of imitate these types of layouts, but I'm not really sure yet. I don't know how committed I am to that's what I'm kind of suspecting too. It's like I don't know if I'm really that committed to, because to me, this is kind of like the equivalent of learning a different language, not in terms of the Japanese itself, but how they do their artwork and how they do their pages. This is a completely different visual style than what I'm used to. And and then it's like, also you have the size differences and whatnot. And not that I would be doing these in the Japanese orientation, i.e. backwards. It's like, no, I kind of hate it when people say that, oh, it's like the Japanese books are backwards. It's like, no, they're laid out in Japanese format. They're
Right.
backwards to you because you're English, no more than the British are driving on the wrong side of the road. I think technically the United States and one other country are the only two countries that don't drive on that side of the road, like I guess on the right side. But that's a complete, it's like
called the right for a reason, Daphne.
Right, I know. It's like, but also it's like because it's like every time I hear, oh, it's done wrong, or it's like
Right.
you're reading it wrong. There's a borderline racist tone to that really makes me bristle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, no, it's not that it's backwards or it's wrong. It's laid out in the way the Japanese lay it out. That's it. That's all that is. So yeah, if you can kind of avoid saying the wrong, people are reading it backwards. They're not reading it backwards. They're reading correctly to the original Japanese. It's just not, and it's not laid out for the American audience.
Right.
So yeah, so just kind of keep that.
No, manga is not causing dyslexia in American
No, it is not. It is not. No, it's like, because you know what? Last I checked, this was not backwards. I mean, this reads exactly like a novel. I mean, stop it. Stop saying shit like that. It's like, because you know what? Yeah, it's like you're you're being racist. Let me just put it that way. He's like, you're being racist when you say shit like that.
You're being a petty bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so I thought that was a little bit of fun. So yeah, so I was just looking at so yeah, so I'm kind of like in a manga space right now, in terms, but like I said, it's more in terms of aesthetic and layout, because I've been coming across. I'm just gonna. I know that we're supposed to have a guest. I'm just gonna keep talking until they pop in. So because I've been seeing some American manga artists, which that in and of itself is it's seemingly a controversial issue, which I think we can save for another episode, where it's like, I've never heard of them before. And yet they have, not only do they have volumes of work that are available, but they get this aesthetic down packed. Like there is this one book, Apple Black, and that it's like, if I didn't know that it wasn't a like a Japanese import, I wouldn't have guessed. It looks exactly like the guy who does this, who's Nigerian, by the way. He has that aesthetic like down, and it's like and it's just really funny. Like I said, he has volumes, and I never heard of him until like recently. And it's like, wow, where are all these people coming from? It's like, there was another artist too that I was following where she has 7 volumes of her book. And again, where are these people coming from? And I find that fascinating, how it's like, we think, we talk all the time about indie comics, and we kind of think it's so small and we know everybody and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, nah, there's a whole world out there of indie comics that we don't know about.
Right.
And it's like, yeah. And it's like, it's like, I guess you go into independent American manga and it's a completely different landscape. It's just, it's amazing. And that was part of what, I guess kind of like really got me looking back into manga and what, it's just, sorry, mainstream comics, you got to try harder to get my attention. What can I say?
What a horrible thing to say, Daphne.
Yeah, I know. So our guest is in the green room right now. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna throw a bump, and then we're gonna bring him in and talk about his comic. And actually, yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot. So there's a lot to unpack with this book. So we'll be right back.
All right.
Hi, I am Joe D. McPhee. I am the host of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, and I want to cordially invite you to watch our show Saturdays at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. On our show, we will have different guests as well as talk about the comic book industry and pop culture. And every so often, I might actually do a drawing session or a 3D rendering session every here and there. So once again, I want to invite you to watch From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher right here on the broadcast channel that you're looking at, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Hope to see you there, and make certain that you catch From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks.
And we are back.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Hey.
Welcome.
How are you ladies doing?
Good. So why don't you introduce yourself to the peoples?
To the people.
Yeah.
Hello, people. So I am Russ Casseday. Let's see. I started in Comic Land about 4 years ago. I started coloring. I got an iPad for work. Started coloring some Transformer art from a guy I met on Facebook. And it just kind of grew from there. Someone asked me to color some sequential pages, and I was like, Okay, sure, I'll give it a whirl. Hey, Rob. And it's just grown from there. So now I've colored, in the last 3 years, I've colored over 450 sequential pages.
Dang.
I've colored over 80 indie covers. I've lettered probably 10 to 15 books. I edit all of Counterpoint Comics books. And then I manage some websites for some folks as well as Shopify sites. They're pretty straightforward, simple sites. But Adelso Corona, who is the inker for Gunslinger Spawn right now, Marat's Counterpoint page. And then a couple years ago, I got into setting up crowdfunding for Mark May's Hellbringer series. And then Marat was like, hey, can you do mine? And then Dan Mendoza was like, well, since you're doing Marat, you might as well do mine.
Might as well.
Well, it's kind of.
My man does a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I did about 20 campaigns last year for people.
Dang.
I've done 40 this year.
Wow.
And I don't see that slowing down. I just picked up Ron Zabala. So it's growing, which is good. I've been in talks with Billy Tucci to do some of his stuff as well. So it's been a whirlwind of excitement, and I do have a 40-hour a week job. I'm an IT guy. And it's kind of, I guess, what has helped me to pick up on some of the stuff so quick, because I mean, if you guys have done backer kits, backer kit's not exactly the most user friendly platform to use.
Right. Yeah. I haven't. I haven't even tried.
Daphne hasn't touched it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not exactly the most user friendly, but that's kind of what got my foot in the door with some folks. And that's what I do for Dan. Dan likes to do his own Kickstarters for now. He said he may give me the shot to do those down the road just to free up, his time.
Right.
But for right now, I do his surveys and stuff. So.
Right. But I mean, it's like, because I saw you on JD's show, I think like 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah.
And it was you and your wife. And it's actually it's like, not to belittle what you do, because I want to talk more about that. But it's like, it's your wife that's the creator, I guess she's a writer.
Yeah. So I had a couple years ago, back in 2019, this is funny how this started. So, sometimes when you're driving, and this is when my mind works. For some reason, when I'm driving, when I should be paying attention to the road, and I had this thought of a girl throwing an animal charm, and the animal coming to life, and and fighting beside her. And in my mind, it was a lot more action packed, like manga, anime, like crazy battle scene type of thing, right? And I had a guy that I was working with. I pay, because I'm a colorist. I commission artists to draw for me. I color when I do art prints to sell at shows. And I had a guy that I was working with at the time in the Philippines. I had him draw concept art for me of this girl with these animals surrounding her. And at the time, I had imagined her being 12 or 13. Based on my daughter. My daughter is 15. A couple years ago, she would have been, 13 years old. So I had her being 12 or 13. Then the pandemic hit, and it kind of slowed everything down. So I talked to a local writer to me. I'm in Ohio, southeastern Ohio, and I have a local writer. His name's James Patrick. He has written for DC. So he's written Batman, Harley Quinn, Green Arrow. He has some recent books for Aftershock, Astronaut Down, and Kaiju Score. They've been big hits for him. I asked him, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, if you can come up with a good story, it should be good. I haven't heard anything like that. Someone throwing like animal charm and it coming to life, and and in my head, I'm thinking, and I don't, I'm going to give things away, but she has 4 animal charms. Eventually she'll get good enough to where she can bring all 4 animals to life.
Right.
They have different abilities that she will be able to, once she's good enough, able to use those abilities with, with herself, including the animals. That's kind of giving a little bit away, what's going to happen down.
Oh, we're going to talk more about the
Yeah.
campaign
But-
a little later on.
But after James said, "Yeah, go for it," right? We were coming back from a show in Kentucky, and I told my wife, I'm like, my wife is the director of behavioral health for a fully qualified health center here in West Virginia. And so she's been a therapist for, almost 20 years. But she reads a lot. She's read Harry Potter. She reads a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Like, she'll read an entire Harry Potter novel in one night. I'll binge 8 episodes on Netflix.
Right.
She'll read 500 pages in a night.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah. It's just, she's a monster. And she loves to write, but she hasn't done it for a long time. What she writes now are, applications for grants. It's
a little different from comic book writing.
Different kind of writing, right? But at the same time, it's still writing.
Right.
So when I pitched her this idea, she was like, "Oh, you could do this, and you could do this, and this and that," and pulling stuff from her book, favorite books, and and just different things.
Right.
And so I'm like, "Well, why don't you write it?" And she's like, "No, that's not a thing. That's no." And I'm like, but anyways, by the time we got home from Kentucky, she was writing the book.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So she wrote book 1,
Uh-huh.
and she wrote book 2. And it's funny. So book 1, I had done a few things. I mean, I've been working in the comic industry for a couple years now, so I felt confident enough that I knew that I could produce the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, myself, working with all these different creators and helping them set up their files, for
Right.
digital distribution and for printing, and working with artists. Marat has had me hire artists to do pages and books and
Right.
stuff like that. So that all kind of came, from
Right.
that experience. So I was nervous because Sarah reads novels. So I was concerned that she was going to be very wordy with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what ended up happening, because we were like, we have to do a script.
Right.
And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "We have to do a script to give to the artist so that they know what to draw on each page." For our first book, we weren't too sure on how to do that. So she had a 1-page script that said, page 1, this happens, page 2, this happens, page 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right.
So you worked from these really rough breakdowns.
It was a very
Right.
simple script.
Uh-huh.
So the artist that I hired from Columbus, Ohio, Nate Lovett, he had worked on some books before, and he had done some inking jobs for Marvel and stuff like that, but he's also done work for Nickelodeon, like Paw Patrol and stuff like that. So I was confident that if I hired Nate and I gave him this simple script, that he would be able to add in what he needed to add to make the book work.
Right.
Okay. So, and he did. And so the first book was 25 pages. But when we went, because I use an application called Comic Life 3 to Letter.
Oh, okay.
It's literally drag the page into the application. You drag the word bubbles and sound effects where you want it to go and type.
Oh, interesting.
It's
Okay.
super easy to use. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that she didn't cover up the art.
Oh, well, of
with
course.
word
Yes.
bubbles, right?
That's always a challenge. Yeah.
I'm an art guy. So basically what I would do is I would drag the bubbles up. Okay. And I'd put the bubbles in hey, Jim, now listen. I would drag the bubbles into place and I would just type in filler text, right? And I'd be like, okay. And she would come in behind me and be like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And I'm like, all right, here are your bubbles. You just have to click on the bubble and put your text in.
Right. Yeah.
And it was kind of her guide, right? But then she was like, well, hold on. All right. I would come in and she's like, well, this doesn't make sense because the first person that needs to talk on this panel is over on the right side of the page. And I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah, right. So that was perfect because it's what she needed to see.
Right.
Because now when she did book 2, it was page 1, panel 1. This person's here, this person's here, this person's
learned,
here.
Yeah, that
learned
quick.
exactly.
Yeah.
And here's what they're saying in the bubble.
Yeah.
Nate
That's
knew
interesting.
exactly what to draw,
Uh-huh.
where it happened, so we don't have any of that
Right.
that mix up from book one, and it only
Right.
happened in one panel,
Right.
so it
Well,
really wasn't that
yeah.
big of a deal.
The thing that I find fascinating about the dichotomy that you have is it the dichotomy? I think that might be the wrong word, but the kind of like this relationship that you have, where you know, like everybody, too many people think that, oh, I want to be in comics, but I can't write and I can't draw.
Right.
And they think that that's the only way they can be in comics.
Yeah.
But it's like how you ended up being was this massive support system that pretty much everybody needs to do this. You know, it's like you're doing what a lot of people have to like pretty much learn on their own.
Yeah, and I had to learn. I learned it by other people asking me to do it for them, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah, you know, it's like, so that's the thing. And that's the thing. It's like, so did you have like all these friends who were artists and like going, damn, I wish I had somebody to do this, and you decided to take up the challenge? Or did you already have an interest that led into, you know what, I'm not a writer, I'm not an artist, but I can code Kickstarter pages, I can learn to color, I can learn to letter, you know. It's like, what kind of like brought you into that as part of that support system?
Yeah. So I mean, when I very first got the iPad, I just wanted to color it because it's relaxing. I mean, anybody that, you know, you go to the store and, you know, you're in your checkout aisle and you see those adult coloring books, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for some people it's doing the, you know, Sudoku, you know, number, all that number finding or crossword puzzles. It's very,
oh, thank you, Alice.
Yeah. It's very, it's just very relaxing to me to color things. To me, it's like watching an aquarium, you know, in the fish swim, right? So that's why I started coloring. I was just coloring, you know, to have fun. And then when I met this guy on Facebook, Fabian, and he draws old style Transformers from the 80s cartoon, and which I love. I'm an 80s kid. I'm 47 years old. I got into comic industry when I was 44, so it's just, or 43, something. It's just crazy to me. But so I started coloring, and then someone was like, "Oh, these are really good. You should make prints of these." And I'm like, "What's a print?"
Oh no!
Like,
wow, you were like learning just like your wife was learning on the job.
Yeah. Well, and she, I mean, now don't forget. I mean, I started this, you know, years ago. She just got into. I mean, she got into it when I was going to shows.
Right.
Okay. At first, you know, when I did my first show, I think in 2019, it was just a show in our mall, you know, cost me like $20 for the table, and I made like $60 or something like that. And I'm like, this is so cool. People actually bought stuff that I did. It's like the greatest feeling, like when someone says, "Hey, I want your art. I want to put it up on my wall." You're just like,
right. Yeah,
what?
no, absolutely.
For
yeah.
real? Yes, please.
Right.
She started going, then she went to a show with me, and she got that feeling. And then she just took over the shows basically.
Right.
So now she just runs the shows. I mean, it's, you know, because she's not OCD, but it's funny how because she's a therapist. So she thinks about the mental aspect of how the table should be set up.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
So it's interesting. And that's why, you know, someone mentioned that Chuck, I did Chuck's show last week. And he was like, that's very interesting. A therapist. Who better to write a character than a therapist?
Huh.
I mean, because they're going to know how, you know, exactly how they want each person to feel.
Right.
And one of the things that Sarah's able to bring to the table is, you know, our book is a teen plus book, right? It's PG. And our main characters are teenagers, 15 going on 16.
Right.
So we aged up from my original 12 to 13-year-old. They were basically, Jim Patrick basically said, hey, if you go with a little older character, you're going to be able to do so much more with the story.
Right.
You won't be as limited. So we did. You know, my daughter's 15 now, so we went with a 15. She's going to be 16. But Sarah's having, in the first issue, they dealt with bullies. They're going to deal with depression. They're going to deal with family loss.
Right.
You know, stuff that teenagers deal with.
Right. And with the therapist angle, she also would know like where the limits are of that, because
Exactly.
a lot of writers, sometimes they just have they don't understand that, and they kind of like write children or teenagers as just like shrunk down adults, and it's not the same thing.
Right.
So at least this way, I guess it's like it gives more of an insight. It's like, no, this is how, people at certain ages actually act or react to things.
Yeah. It's different. They're I mean, it's just everybody, just hormonally, you're just different. You react differently.
Yeah, exactly. Nita, so do you have the campaign to bring up? Because I really want people to see this, because it's like, I was just talking in the previous segment how it's like that there are just like books out there that it's like, how is it that it's like you're already on a second issue, and it's like, wait a minute, how does a book that looks like this, it's like, why am I only hearing about it now?
So and so this is what's difficult, right? When Kickstarter is such a huge platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you guys both know, when you go to the comic area for Kickstarter, and you filter down to the live projects, and you're seeing 250 to 300 projects, there's so many projects to scroll through.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you get 20 rows down, you're just like, all right, I've seen 60 to 70 of them.
Yeah, once you get that fifth scroll, it's like, okay, I'm done. Yeah.
And that's, and I had made, and I'm sure other people make suggestions to Kickstarter as well, and I had basically, recommended to them multiple times to make their comic interface look like Netflix, genre based, right? So
that would be good. Yeah.
So and basically, I'm not thinking about the people that are making 20K, 30K, 100K.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the 36% of indie creators that are failing, and that's not failing because their book sucks. Because I've seen a lot of great projects, but the problem is that they're not getting eyes on it because they're 60 rows down on that list, and people aren't scrolling that far.
Yeah.
Now, if they did genre based, and I am I want to look at, adult comedy comics, right? I can filter out adult comedy books, and I see the 30 active campaigns for adult comedy.
Yeah.
Now those people that would be way down that list in the, massive pool of comics are getting eyes on their books.
Mm-hmm.
And same for, horror or anything like that. And it's simple, because all you have to do is, when you're setting up your Kickstarter campaign, you have a little section on that intro page where you have to pick 2 out of 10 genres.
Right.
Adult, horror, comedy, fantasy, whatever, right? And that allows them to group the projects together.
Right. Because right now it's like all you have is just like, okay, are you a comic book or a graphic novel?
That's right. That's exactly
right. That's the only options you have. And it's like, I would love to be able to put fantasy, furry, it's like, other, romance, drama, that I would love to be able to actually tag my work.
Yep. So if you notice on this campaign, we're running it on Crowdfundr this time.
Yes.
So myself, I have basically ditched Kickstarter.
Oh. Okay.
And the reason is because once I reached out to Crowdfundr, and the CEO emailed me back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a small team. They're 20 some employees.
Right.
But when the CEO replied back to me,
yeah.
I knew that I had somebody's ear. And I had made a recommendation to them, and in 2 months it was implemented.
Huh.
So basically, you know how when you're scrolling down Kickstarter and you have somebody's got 50 tiers. They've got cover A, they've got cover A version, cover A foil, cover A metal, right?
Yeah.
It gets daunting. It's just, it's overwhelming to people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now if you go down and click on cover A.
Well, I mean, is it related to the fact that you can actually have images on the level itself?
Well, so that's very similar to Indiegogo.
Yes.
Okay. But if you click on one of those contribute buttons, okay, what happens is you get options. So for cover A, you have a virgin option, a foil option, and a metal option.
Oh yeah.
So go ahead, click on one of them.
Yeah. So click on.
Click on cover A. So this is the other thing. Okay, so I wanted to have 6 different
pick
versions.
a cover. There we go.
So if you click on that, So for Charms 1, pick a cover. If you click that drop down,
Nita.
It won't show. I do have it
Okay.
dropped down. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing all
Yeah,
the
so you
different
can see
options:
it
the
gives you
regular
a
trade,
okay,
dress
so
yeah,
version,
just
regular trade, virgin, comfort,
I
and
mean,
atom,
because
regular
that-
trade. I mean, it gives you everything.
Right.
It's fucking
now if you
awesome.
scroll, so Nita, if you scroll down a little bit and go to like cover A, so if you notice, when you go to contribute, it turns your page into a storefront. You can pick as many of each cover as you want. So if each of these items is limited, like in Kickstarter, you can't back multiple limited items.
Right.
In this one, you can. If cover A was limited, cover B was
works
limited.
like a storefront. I kind of wonder if that has a lot to do with the fact that Kickstarter keeps insisting it's not a storefront, so it doesn't build like one.
Right.
And so Crowdfundr takes a different approach. They're Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When a customer backs your campaign, you get the money. They don't collect all the money and wait until the end to pay you. That money is between you and your backers.
So is that similar to what Indiegogo does, where they collect the money up front?
Well, so you can do that. There's two methods. There's all or nothing.
Right.
And then there is keep it all.
Right.
Okay, so in keep it all, which is what I chose, when someone backs one of my products and they pay via PayPal or Stripe credit card,
Right. Uh-huh.
I get the money immediately.
Oh.
Immediately.
So you don't
wait.
so there is no waiting until the end of the campaign.
No, because Crowdfundr doesn't touch the money.
Right. It's kind of like if someone
hate that.
I do too. I mean, it's like here's
I
the thing.
hate that because of the irresponsible
People.
creators that
Nature of
will
a lot
get
of
the money. Yes.
Yeah.
But I love it for the creator who is responsible, who is
Right.
going to put your stuff out.
And a lot of
Right.
backers have said that they like it. They would
Right.
rather have it come out and not have to wait
Right.
30
No,
days.
absolutely.
No,
Because
for
that's why
sure.
you get all the people that
Right.
downgrade their pledges or cancel
Yeah.
their
Right.
pledges.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm gonna have to now Crowdfundr, it's like these are like this is it's not that it's a new platform, but it has been getting some traction. But the thing is, though, it's like for everybody looking at this, I'm going to have to poke at the elephant in the room. Now the thing is that looking at this book and how absolutely beautiful it is, you can't tell me that you wouldn't have made more money if you were on Kickstarter.
So so first of all, I'm new, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm and from a comic creator standpoint, I'm a nobody. Okay. Even though I help all these people behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know who I am. So with our first book that ran on Kickstarter back in March and April, we did about $6,700.
Okay.
Okay. But I want to be clear and transparent with that. I had a Shannon Mayer cover on for book one. Okay. And that Shannon Mayer cover accounted for over 50% of that and over 50% of the backers. So if I were to subtract that one cover that Shannon did for me, right?
Yeah.
I'm at around $3,000 with 60 backers.
Which is always the case with variant covers, depending on
exactly,
who you
right?
get.
But that was a Shannon Mayer cover that he did for me as a favor.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I went from $3,000 to $6,700 in like 3 days. I was just sitting here like, whoa!
Right, yeah.
But I don't have a Shannon Mayer cover this time.
Right.
If I had a Shannon Mayer cover and Shannon had posted on his Facebook and his Instagram and said, go to Crowdfundr and buy my cover on this book, I have a feeling that I would have gotten the same response on this campaign.
Uh-huh.
So the one thing that I'll mention, Daphne, is that Kickstarter started the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
They started with zero, and they basically wanted backers, or people to run their campaigns on their platform in order to bring people to their platform. And that's what Crowdfundr has to do is they basically have to build up that same kind of thing. What they have is why do backers want to come to this platform? Why do creators want to come to this platform? The biggest reason for creators to come to this platform right now is that you have three options for payment to Crowdfundr. So you can do a simply free plan, which basically you as a creator are responsible for paying your Stripe and PayPal fees.
Okay.
Okay. Crowdfundr asks the backers for a tip, any tip, just a tip. if they tip, which they usually do, might be a couple bucks.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Rob, for
Thank
supporting the campaign. A little pop up there. Even saying who backed the campaign. Look at that. Nice accountability there, to tell you the truth. If your name popped up,
he could have checked the box that said anonymous as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's up to the backer.
Right.
So the other option. Okay. So basically, if people don't donate, you only pay your Stripe fee and your PayPal fee.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Nearly free. Okay. This is the option that I chose. Crowdfundr, at the time of checkout for the backer, it tells them the cost of your transaction is, the Stripe fee, right?
Right.
Plus their 5%, is, something on average for a regular single book is like, $2 or $3.
Right.
If they buy something, they back something that's $100, then it's going to be, like $8 or something like that. It's 90% of the time the backers are paying the fee.
Right.
So not only are they paying that 5% fee, but they're paying my Stripe fee as well. So what that ends up resulting in is that me as a creator, I'm averaging, I pay 1%, 1.2%. I'm not paying 8.5% like Kickstarter, Indiegogo charges, right?
Well, also another thing too, because it's like I said, we probably need to have you back to talk about your experience, like after the campaign, after it closes, and after you fulfill the whole thing, and really get more into the nitty gritty about Crowdfundr. But also the thing is too, like I said, I had to poke at that elephant, but conversely, your amount there is not padded with shipping, isn't it?
No. So my actual amount my total amount right now with the fees and the shipping and everything is closer to $2,300-$2,400. They don't pad that. Now I have asked them to put in parentheses underneath that, in parentheses total amount, with the shipping and everything, so that creators that come to the site can see a Kickstarter number kind of thing. Yeah, Rob, and that's the other thing. I think they're the only platform that takes PayPal.
Right.
And it's up to you as a creator to create a business account. You don't have to create a business account. They recommend you create a business account.
Right.
Because it's a transaction between the backer and you. If a backer requests a refund, it comes from you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like an e-commerce site.
Right.
The other nice thing about Crowdfundr is it's free. You could do Crowdfundr Professional. You could set up an organization. They are the only platform that will let you remove their branding and put your own branding on the page.
Oh, snap. Wait a minute. So that means, so I can so
it won't say Crowdfundr in the corner. It'll say Daphne.
But so like I could literally run this from my website.
You could. So right below that contribute button, there's an embed link. So you can actually embed this into your website so that you can send all of your traffic to your own website, and then on your website is the Crowdfundr page.
But you can
change the branding so that it said Ego Raven in the top corner.
So it
your logo.
matches. It matches my branding. That is really. I mean, like I said, we're gonna have to bring you back.
Yeah, we're gonna come back, dude.
We're already at the top of the hour, and but I mean, like I said. I meant it when I said that having Russ on, there's going to be a lot to unpack, and we haven't even gotten through customs yet. We're still in the TSA line. We still have to take our shoes off.
We're getting.
I mean, there's a lot going on here, but. But the thing is, though, it's like I know that you went into more detail with this like I said, on the previous show with JD Calderon when he had the CEO of Crowdfundr on as well. So if you want to see, if everyone watching wants more information on Crowdfundr, we'll leave a link to that show so that you can get in the show notes so that you can learn more about that. Russ is on there. The CEO of Crowdfundr is on there. Really interesting stuff. I mean, the thing is, it's like, you're right. It's like every platform, we all want a different platform. platform, but at the same time, no platform comes out, whole from the forehead of Zeus. It has to start from somewhere.
Right, exactly.
So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on Crowdfundr. We're definitely going to be keeping an eye on Charms, because this is a spectacular looking book. And really, it's like,
I appreciate it.
hope we see more of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a teen plus book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fantasy book.
Yeah.
The three teens, they're going to get special abilities. The main character will have her charm bracelet that she can bring the charm animals to life, and we're doing animated characters this issue.
Right.
QR codes on the internal pages that the reader can scan with their mobile device and have the character's puppet talk to you.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, really, it's like this book really needs more eyeballs on it. And I'm glad that that we can help be a part of that. Even if
I
it's,
appreciate it.
Any eyeballs, is better.
All eyeballs.
All of them.
All the eyeballs.
So thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about this. Like I said, we're gonna have to have you back next time to give us a whole, probably a more in-depth dive into what you do when it comes to, because I could talk, because I have so many questions I want to ask you about all these campaigns that you're doing. But like I said, we're gonna have to save this for another time.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, why don't you tell the people where they can find you aside from Crowdfundr, of course?
So if you go to Facebook, facebook.com/groups/Charms Comic, that's our Charms Comic Facebook group. I'm Instagram, Twitter, Russ Casseday, Casseday. I think my Instagram is like Russ Cass. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right. Oh, so there you go. So, as you can see, the Charms, the Charms campaign on Crowdfundr, I think has 4 days left.
Yeah,
I think
4 or 5 days.
It has 4 or 5 days left. So head on over to Crowdfundr, try out a new platform, because it's good for us to have the variety and to support a platform that's actually taking a lot of the things that Kickstarter is ignoring and actually implementing them into their platform. Because it's like, I can't even begin to tell you that it's like, oh my God, they're really doing that. But, like I said, we're going to have to, tackle this on another episode.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So I would like to thank, well, actually, before Nita, do you have any kind of final takes?
I'm working. I'm putting stuff in.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, she's putting in all the links and everything. And also, like we always say, all links are in the show notes below. They're in the show notes, the link tree. There's some in the chat. Everything that we mentioned in the show today. So I would like to thank everybody in our chat who've just been keeping it busy. It's like, yeah, I know, with a lot of questions, but yeah, we're gonna have to revisit this. That's for sure. Thank you so much to the people who are watching us, the 8 people who are still watching us. From regions beyond, from Facebook, from Twitter. It's like, thank you so much for spending this hour with us. I mean, it's like we just barely began to open up, about this topic and about the book and whatnot. And like I said, there's a previous episode with JD Calderon that Russ is on in the show notes. Check that out for more detail about this. So thank you again for joining us on this Monday, right? It's a Monday.
Yeah, it's still Monday.
It's still Monday.
Thank you so
much. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us on this Monday. So if you want to learn more about me and my artwork as well, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. I mean, wouldn't that be crazy to actually do a crowdfunding?
I know, right? Like, we're so
on
going
my
to talk
own
about this
website.
in a minute.
Exactly. Where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook if you're into seeing sketches and work in progress and up to date updates, to be redundant. And remember that you could also check us out on YouTube. If you go to my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, where you can see my previous videos on how I do my work, and also my live streams every Wednesday at from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. And also remember, you can also read the first 5 issues of Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, in its original black and white format. That will be switching over to the final full color Kickstarter remastered version starting January 1st. So if you're the type that likes to compare old to new, you have until the 31st to do it. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales, TAILS online.com, and read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free. So thank you again, Russ. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, everyone who's watching us, next to the giant eyeball on my screen. Nita, you sure you don't have anything more to say?
Make sure
We're
you
good.
guys like and subscribe to Indie Comics Network, and also find us Indie Comics After Dark. Indie Comics Network After Dark. It is our new channel. That's where we'll be moving our adult content to, so we can keep it family friendly over here.
Right.
And that's all I got.
That's all I got too. So thank you so much. And in the words of the ancients, which also another thing that I ended up buying, not manga related, but Marcus Aurelius Meditations, which I could only read a paragraph at a time. In the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work, because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you next time.